the last 19 years I've been in China. I have had a lot of exhibitions, and I have a studio there for some years, and so that's my second home country. But before that, I was very much to Israel. So I was there also 25 times. So I have a lot of friends and a lot of experience from different countries. And it's also that I can tell some stories, what happened with some of my art from one country in another country where it maybe is not able to say something directly, as in China. It's a lot of limitations, but I can talk about my art, what has happened in another country, and they can put it into their situation. So it's not so sensitive. So that's something very special to be an artist. You can say something which normally people can't do because you have another language, and art is a language. And then I can also say that if art can be seen, if everyone looking to the painting experience the painting in the same way, then it's not art, then it's propaganda. And the special thing with art is that that people can see it in a different way because of different backgrounds and experiences. And for me, it's very interesting to see my own work experienced through other people. So that's why I want to be as much as possible in my exhibitions, because first then maybe I really understand what I've done when I see it from another perspective. And also that sometimes when you meet a person, it's not so easy to start to talk in a deep level. Or also maybe not looking in the eyes like that. It takes a little time to be comfortable. But if you can talk through a painting, then you're not looking in each other's eyes, and you can. And people coming up to me very often and ask me, "What can you tell me about it?" And I say, "Yes, of course, but it should be nice for me to hear how you experience it." And then they open up themselves in front of me without thinking about what's happening. And then I can add something, and I do something more, and suddenly we are into a very deep conversation, which normally is not possible. So that's what I think is very special with art. And this story with Latvia started '89. It was a course in Sweden for foreign students who were learning Swedish. And I was invited to have an evening for these students as a Swedish artist. And then after this lecture, a young, beautiful girl was coming up to me and said, I'm coming from Riga in Latvia. And can you think of that to make an exhibition in Riga, she said. And it's not just easy to say yes, because it's to make an exhibition with all the freights and all these things. You have to think it over. But and she understood that I didn't have any relations to Latvia in my background, and to make me get more feelings for the country when I should work for the exhibition, she invited me for 4 days to come in the beginning of June 1990. And the thing was, when I was in the airplane to Latvia, I was sitting together with 12 young girls from America and from Canada. And they were talking very loudly, these Americans, and I was in the middle of them. But they were nice people. And suddenly we were coming over the coastline of Latvia, and it was a very clear day. And one of the girls was looking out, and she could see like a map from above. And it's very, very special, the coastline, you know. And she was screaming, and it made all the other girls was running out to the windows looking down, and some start to cry. Many of them start to speak Latvian. And I realized that they were daughters of exiled Latvians. And they've been growing up in America and Canada, with the Latvian culture and learn the language and seeing the map and suddenly could see it from above. And it was so much emotions. And I was on the way to take part in the song festival. So much emotions. And because I was in the middle of them, these feelings transferred to me. So before I even put my feet on the ground here in Latvia, I got so much feelings for the country. And it was amazing. And then she had organized a program for me, so I met a lot of people. And so during that week, I got so much, I was really big heart for Latvia. And in the last day, she invited the economy minister of the country and the man who was in charge of the radio here and so for dinner together with me. And then I had an idea in my mind because I seen an interview some days before on television, and I saw with somebody from Latvia, and behind him it was 3 flags waving in the wind, and I could see that everyone had 3 colors. And I didn't know, but I thought that must be the flags of the Baltic countries. So I got this idea, and I took the serviette and I made a simple sketch and asked them, is it possible to make a painting like this? And they were reacting very much, oh, but it's a political painting, they said. Oh, I said to myself, oh, this is not possible. But then they said, we didn't expect that you should be involved in our situation with your paintings in that way. But if you want to do that, we will give you free hands, because we need all help we can get to be understood in our situation. So I felt in that moment that the exhibition I could do here should be much more than a normal exhibition. And when I came back to Sweden, I got so many ideas. So I don't think that I ever have got so much idea in a short time. And I started to work with this, and some months later, it was realized here in October 1990. But before this exhibition, I took part in a conference in Holland. It's called Christian Artists Europe. And it used to be 1 week in August every year. And I showed this painting, for example, and some more. And the people in Europe, it didn't mean anything. I mean, this combination, it was just an abstract painting. And they were a little surprised because it was very different from what they have seen on me before. I used to have a lot of horses and things like that on my paintings. But one day, I could come into the exhibition hall, I could see a young couple was standing and was looking to this. And I could, even if I saw it from the background, I could see that they were acting very different from all others. And I went up to them, and then the man said, I can see that you made a painting for us. And what do you mean? I said, yeah, we are coming from Riga in Latvia, she said. And I had no idea that it was somebody from Latvia there. And when I was looking to the name, it was written Soviet Union. So for them, I mean, everyone they had met before, they were from Soviet Union. And suddenly came into the exhibition, I could see this, which was about their situation. So, I mean, you understand that there's a red pressure of the communistic country and the flags of the Baltic countries. So, and before that, I had met another one some years before. He was a pastor in East Germany. So we made a relationship with that church because it was just in 150 kilometers from Malmö, but it was so far away. And so I talked to him and told him that I should make an exhibition in Latvia. And then he said, do you know any Christians there? He said, no, my contact is in another way, I said. And then he told me that for many years when I was growing up, I had a pen friend from Riga. And I was writing to her very often, and I think that she even can speak some Swedish, he said. So I got her name and address, and he said to me, when you're coming to Riga, you must call her. And when I was standing there with this couple, I remember that I had her address in my wallet, so I took it up and asked, do you know this girl? Yes, that's my sister. And the couple, there was Maris here and his wife.
Ausma.
And it was Ausma who I had on the name. So I felt that this is so special. I mean, this will be even more special than I expected. And yeah, so when I went here, Marius was helping me a lot, and he has also been helping me to put up this exhibition. He is a very creative man. He's solving every problem he is solving. So we are working very good together. And then after some weeks, it was decided that this exhibition should move to Liepāja, which is the third city in the country. And that city was closed for foreigners for many, many years. And it was one of the most important Navy bases in Soviet Union. And I was the first the first foreign artist since the Second World War made an exhibition there. And the exhibition took place in the Cultural Palace, the Communistic Cultural Palace. And outside there on the square, it was a statue of Lenin, and it was protected by Soviet soldiers and tanks. So it was really, you can really feel the tense in the atmosphere.
Which year?
This is 1990, yeah. One month after I had the opening here. And but when it was time for the opening, another one, they put up the exhibition, so I should just come there for the opening. But that day, the airplane couldn't go because it was very bad weather in Copenhagen. So I phoned them and said, I can't come. And so I was missing the opening of my own exhibition, and they were very sad, and I was sad. But then I said, next day we can make a second opening, and if you can arrange to come tomorrow instead. And so I did, and it was a little better weather. And then when I was waiting for the airplane there, it was a man, I could see a man was waving to me like this, and I was looking to him. I realized that that was the economy minister who I been on with a dinner and also made this opening speech of my exhibition in Riga. And he was on his way back from New York together with the foreign minister and some other ministers from the government here. They've been meeting with the United Nations and was on the way back. And because of the economy, it was not so good here. They were buying the cheapest tickets, as I did. And we were sitting together, and he made a presentation of me to these ministers, and I showed some photos, and they were very touched about that somebody from outside Latvia could get feelings and do this exhibition for them in their situation. So in that situation, they come up with the idea that we should make a catalog about your paintings, and if you write down your ideas around, we can translate this to different language, and then we will print this, and we will send it out to different countries to help for our situation to be understood. So suddenly they were inviting me to be a part of the struggle for freedom in this country with my paintings. So it was really a really special situation. And if I had been going as it was planned the day before, I shouldn't have met them. So it was, and I have in this cabin over here, I will show you. Soviet troops was occupying the press house here and killing some people, and people were standing on the barricades to protect the country. So it was very sensitive situation. And then my catalog was printed the same week. And it happened to be that the press house where all the newspapers in Latvia was printed was occupied by these troops, so they was cutting off all information for half a year. And they were printed this during very hard circumstances with the material and the paint and so. And that's why I will just show you that this is the same printing, and you see it's so different colors.
It's the same.
Yeah, it's the same, and no one of them is close to the original. So, but I'm not showing this to say that they couldn't do better, but it's a historic document how it was. And even if this situation was so hard, they found a solution to print this because I thought it was important. So I think this is very special. And then when people was coming, visiting here from other countries, they could get 25 or 50 of these in a package, and they could smuggle it out of the country because it was so special situation. So, and I was selling it in the south of Malmö, south of Sweden, and some people also sold it in Stockholm when they have demonstration for the Baltic countries. And we was collecting money to buy a fax machine, because in that time it was not easy with communication, so it could help.
It's horses from
going
over.
Yeah, this, I mean, most of this, almost everything from this exhibition is I still have, because it was not possible to sell anything. People didn't have any economy to buy art, and in Sweden there was too different. so that's why I have almost everything. But this painting is sold. But what they are jumping over is a Bay of Riga. So it's about every one of these horses, which are representing people. They are binded by these kind of things and ropes. But when they make the jump over, they are liberated. So and it was also thinking about the water of the Riga Bay, because it was so much pollution. They were sending out pollution directly in the water, and you, as a people, you couldn't change this because you were not the head of your own situation, and they did a very special creative thing. Once in a year they were going out and were standing around this Riga Bay, and they have flowers in their hands, and they were putting out the flowers in the water and were praying for the water. That's what they could do. And I liked to, that was a fantastic, many creative ideas to handle this situation, which made, in the end, the country to be free. And you could use violence and things like that, but that, if so, the Soviet troops could beat you down, but now they're coming up with creative ideas. They didn't know really how to handle it. And so that's special. And when I'm here, I will take this too. I will tell you about this painting here. Yeah, first I can tell you about this painting. Most of my paintings, even if they were different from what I had seen before, was still quite obvious. Most people could understand it. But at the same time, I had two paintings, one over there and this, which was very different. Oh, excuse me. Let's see. Okay. From Sweden. I don't know. And because I was dealing with a situation, both historical and the situation, and also looking forward. And this painting is the idea coming from the Bible. It's called not 7, but 70 times 7. And I don't know how much you know about this, but it was when Peter was asking Jesus, is it enough if I forgive somebody who made something wrong to me 7 times? And 7 is a perfect number, so he was really thinking that Jesus should say, oh, you have really got this, you're good. But Jesus said, not 7, but 70 times 7. And as you can see, it's a huge difference from how God is looking to the same thing as we are looking, even if we try our best. I mean, if I've been asking the same question, maybe I've asked, is it enough if I give 1 time? But he said 7 times, but still Jesus said not 7, but 70 times 7. And in that way of telling, it's not meaning that it's no forgiveness after 490 times. It's a Jewish way to say that it should be without a limit, without. And I realized that the people at the opening, most of them had never didn't have any connection with the Bible, so they didn't say anything. But I put it into their situation, and I said, if you struggle for freedom, and when you got your freedom, it's very easy that you try to give back for everything that they have done to you during these 50 years. But then you will coming wrong with your country situation directly. You must have a dimension of forgiveness into this process. But to forgive after so many years, hard thing, is not so easy. And then we need help, and to get away from our narrow-minded way of thinking. And why not see from God's perspective? And it was very special feeling in the room. I could really feel that they took this to their heart, because it said something about the process they were into. So that was very special. And later on, it was written an article, it's over there too, in September, when I got the freedom, when this idea was presented, and they was asking also the question, is it possible to forgive without end?
How did people receive it? They were impacted.
Yeah, I mean, I could see of the reactions that they were into this process, and I could see that it was a little new dimension for them, and I could see that they took that to their heart, and I think that was fantastic. But anyhow, when I should say something more about this with the Baltic Pillar, because when I moved it to Liepāja, and I was coming there the day after the original opening, I went into the room, and then I discovered that this painting was hanging upside down. And I said, oh, it's wrong, but what have you done? Yeah, but we can't change it now, because, all the people, 100 people waiting here, and it's 2 choirs have been rehearsing Swedish and Latvian songs, and they bigged up a podium with Swedish and Latvian flags and a lot of flowers. You have to talk to him over there afterwards. He can maybe explain for you. And after the official opening, I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, I think I understand your idea, but when I was alone here hanging the exhibition, it was too much for me to see this red pressure coming out from the wall. I couldn't stand it, so I decided to hang it upside down instead. And I said, I understand that you feel better in this way, but it's the same as this, what I said before. Then you show that you will give back in the same way. You have to do it. And my idea is two parts. So the idea that you with peaceful methods should work for this red pressure should go away, and side by side be liberated. So then he changed it again, and he understood it in another way. But it was special to see the kind of reactions it created. Yeah. And then it was this January, this happening I told you about, what happened here in Riga, and that this was printed, and then 3 weeks later should show my exhibition, Riga exhibition, in Copenhagen, in the Nordic Minister Council's building. They have a gallery, and invited me because it was about Riga, and it was one of the main things they should discuss was about the situation here. So I invited me to show the same exhibition, and then I made this painting for that exhibition with this arch. And because I was a little upset that still the Nordic countries didn't do enough to help you in your situation. I didn't really like this, and I said to myself, I must do something to now when all the politicians from the 5 Nordic countries should come together for 1 week in Copenhagen, and my exhibition should be in the middle of them. I will do something to maybe can help for them to make these decisions. So when I made this, it was the same week also when this shooting took place in Riga, and I was listening to the radio, and I could hear hour by hour what's happening here, and I was crying when I listened, and I was working on this, and I was crying, and I was working. So it was a very special situation, and the idea is coming from Leonardo da Vinci. He said in one text that an archway in a building is a very good, strong construction. Can have a lot of heavy things above. But each archway is built up of 2 different segments of a circle. So if they're standing alone, half of it, they should fall. But because of these 2 weaknesses are falling onto each other, they will become one strength. And I love that idea, that even if we are weak, if we help each other, we can be strong together. So I made this with the Nordic countries. So this is Sweden and Norway, and here is Finland, Denmark, and Iceland, and there is 3 Baltic states. But because of what's happened here in January, it was not a need for me to make the Nordic countries to do more, because that was the first priority in the meeting, that we have to help the Baltic countries. But to my surprise, when I was the day after being hanging this up, I heard that the Finnish delegation had been upset when they saw this artwork, because their sensitive place as a border country to Soviet Union, still it was too sensitive for them to see themselves to help the Baltic countries. So they tried to make the one who was responsible for the exhibition to take this down from the exhibition even. So it was really surprising me. But this, about the Finnish delegation's reaction was going around like rumor in the corridors, and it helped the other countries to starting a lot of talks. And it was because of this artwork with starting this. So it had another meaning that I was expecting from the beginning. And then it was so that, as I told you before, the press house was occupied, and no newspaper could come out in a year, half a year. This is the biggest newspaper in Latvia, Vienna, and that's what it was in that time, one paper. With a very simple quality and no pictures. But in this they have writing a review about my exhibition in Copenhagen. That's why I have it. But I think that just to show this, I showed it to some student yesterday, a big class. And when I showed this, I could really see that they were reacting. They could understand, even if they were not born when this happened, but to see this was so special. So, yeah. And then I made some smaller paintings for this exhibition too, 1990. And I call them paintings from the history book. So it's like an open book, 2 pages. And this, for example, you can see there's also the map of Latvia down here, like a lake. And this little boat is dreaming out about to be liberated and go out in the big seas like this sailing boat from the Hansa time, when they could make business with different countries. And this Agita, the girl who invited me for the first time, she also took me down to the author of this story, Spriditis. It's very famous here in Latvia. And I liked the idea behind this. He was taking his shovel and he was going out in the world to dig after happiness. And I put him here, and had been digging around, liberated the country from the boundaries to Soviet Union. And this painting is black pages in the history of Latvia, because it's when it was in the beginning of the 40s, when the German took over. It was so many Jewish people killed here and sent out of the country. And if you see him from this side when you are standing, it's just black, the whole thing. But we're coming from this side, then it's coming out yellow Jewish stars. And I wanted to lift up this. If you was working to liberate the country and make a new country, you also have to face the black sides of the history. And in the entrance of the Liepaja, this town, in the 40s, it was put up big signs at the entrance to the city. Was written that it was Judenrein, was cleaned of the Jewish people. So, yeah.
I may ask, the Spridates, the messages about homecoming here and...
Yeah, for me it was that he instead of just digging after happiness, he was digging and liberated the country. You know, that's why it's the grass of the land of this country. Yeah. But this painting was not made for this exhibition, because it was done some years later, but I thought it anyhow could be interesting. It was when we were voting to be a part of the euro in Sweden, and we chose that we should keep our old money. But to make this possible, to ask questions, I was turning the European map upside down. So we are looking down from Sweden out to Europe, and also from Latvia down to Europe. So, and asking the question if it was a utopia, Europe, or if it should be really working. So it's more about that. And in that time, when I showed it here in Riga, 93, no. But anyhow, it was, 2001, it was when they were celebrating the 10 years of the liberation from Soviet Union. I was invited the second time to show this exhibition, and it was in the Congress House here and now it's the third time. It's a little strange, but I'm very happy to do this. I'm very touched that the people here think that it's still valuable, these paintings. But in that time, you were half a year later, you were going into as a member of European Union. And of course, you have very bad experience from another union before. But this time you make your own choice. But still, it was not just easy thing. So I thought it was fitting in. Yeah, we just have 1 hour, and I think I have used a lot of the time already.
Could you share about your future ideas? Maybe vision where you are heading and...
No, I think I will continue with this. But I can show you this this painting or sculpture. So if you're standing in this direction, so you can see this. It's a landscape, and it's stairs with red carpet welcoming you, and it's a lot of possibilities. And then you can see also a globe here, and if you can recognize it, so you can see also the map of Latvia on that. So now it's dominating the whole globe. Yeah, but the situation sometimes change, and you can, if you're walking out here, And then you can see it's coming in some problems during the way. And so it's changed this feeling of that everything is possible. But if you continue here in this direction, you can see that the landscape and the stairs disappear. You're just occupied by these problems. And if you continue all the way where I'm standing now, this very narrow angle, you can see that you found yourself in a box. And that's about limitation. And if you feel that you're stuck in a box and you don't really know what to do, you have to try to find a way back to the road again. So, but maybe you should help them to come into this position. See, maybe too far away, but can you see the box? Yeah. I had to come more here, I think. So, and that's a part what I'm doing now. You asked me a little what I'm doing now, but the last years I've been working a lot with metal. And it's possible to bend it and do three-dimensional things. And in this way, it's not working if the people are standing just in one position. It's first working when they start to move. So I need you as a audience. Otherwise, it's not working. And I like that. I like to communicate. And first, when you're moving yourself, then you discover that it's changing and that the first impression maybe not is the last one. Start the process in your life situation. Yeah. I have a similar one here, which is called work of heart. So if you start here, in this position, it's just stripes, maybe a little boring. Long stripes, when if you're coming out here, it's changed a lot, almost like waves. And if you see it from the front, change again. And if you continue here, it's becoming red dots. And if going all the way here, then it's becoming hearts. So that's why I call it work of heart. It's a work of art, but it's also work of heart. And to use the heart in the art is very important. That make a big difference. Yeah. What was the time?
5 minutes before.
Oh, so what should I show? Maybe they can overlap a little, or yeah, because it's a lot to say about these paintings too. This was made for the exhibition 1990, and then there's a second one which is very different from the others, and I call it the Roman square, because this square with Latin words Sator, Arepo, Tenet, Opera, Rotas has been found all over the Roman Empire in excavations, and every time when they've found this, they have been asking themselves, what is this about? Is it just a play with words, or is it something more behind? And you can see that you can read this text in many Sator, Arepo, Tenet, and like this Sator, Arepo, and like this Sator, Arepo, Tenet. So in all directions it's the same words, and it's very clever, but it's not my idea. I'm taking it from this old time, 2,000 years old. And I went to the library to find out what the meaning of this. Sator means creator and father. Arepo means something opened, like in arena. Tenet means stable and firm. And opera means work and opportunity, and rotas, rotation and change. And it's also the Latin word for the potter's wheel. You know this. And so all this word is very positive, but it's it's not easy to find a message in that way. And somebody saw that it was a hidden cross in this. If you see the word tenet forms a cross, and I told you that the meaning was stable and firm. And it's just one N, and it's in the middle. And if you keep that N in the middle and then change all the other letters position, then you can write the word Paternoster in this way. Do you know Paternoster? Our Father, beginning of the Lord's Prayer. And then you can write the word Paternoster in that way too, so it will become a crossword. And let's see. And then, yeah, and then it's 4 letters left, 2A and 2O. But if you make it like a crossword with Paternoster and put A and O, Alpha and Omega, the beginning and end, like this, then it's exactly the same letters as in this square. So probably it has been a secret code for the first Christians in the Roman time, not possible for them to openly speak about the faith. And somebody was creating this square, and when you coming to a new place and saw this, you knew here, but there was more Christians, but for people who are not involved into this, they didn't understand. And I was putting it into Latvia situation, and behind here is like a fence. And behind the fence is life, but it was very limited. And this green was, I made and let the paint drip to show that it was a new time on the way with perestroika and this openness. And it was like an encouragement for the people to use the creative gift to go against the evil things. And you really did here. I mean, for example, this with the Baltic chain. You maybe don't know about it, but they created a chain from Estonia and down to Riga and down to Vilnius in Lithuania. A real human chain, more than 600 kilometers long. And it was, and many of you maybe was involved in this? 1989 in August. 89, yes. 1989. Yeah. Yeah, hello. Old friends. Yeah, she was there for the, and she was the one who had to make the opening speech in Latvia.
Because he was stuck in Malmö.
Yeah. I just told them about this, and she had to be instead of me, and in that time she was vice consul of Sweden. But in that city, she was not allowed to come there the official way.
The consul told me, I don't know anything about you now. You're on your own.
Yeah.
No photos, no speeches, no photos, no nothing.
Yeah, so it was a very special situation. But anyhow, so this Baltic chain was so special because they didn't use violence, and so they had used a creative gift. And when they created this human chain and was singing their national hymns and spreading the word of freedom from one to another, it was really something which gave them strength in a special way. And the Soviet troops, they didn't know how to handle this. If they've been using violence, it was very easy. But this was so different. And these creative things, which many of them, was really special reason why the country could be liberated. Yeah. And I have some more picture. This, for example, this I made. This is the last painting I made. It was just 2 weeks ago. I made this just before I came here. And maybe you're looking to this and think, oh, this is a globe with North and South America. So what has that to do with Latvia? It's very strange. But you know, I've been thinking like this. Latvia is a small country. And if people out in the world thinking about the world, they're thinking about the big countries and the big cities and Paris and New York and London and so as the most important thing. But for you who are living here in Riga, Riga is the most important city in the world. And to make you find a little more visible place on the Earth globe, I changed the whole thing. You have to go very close here and look. You have to go even closer, I think. You see, I cut it out from the map of Latvia. I cut it out to the form of North and South America, and then I pushed Paris down here. So I show that it's. So now I call it center of the world, and you know you are there just now.
My grandfather was born there.
Oh, okay. In South America.
Yeah, Hilton is the capital of Ecuador.
Yeah. This may be also a little surprising for you that I made a painting with the Russian alphabet. But why I took it with me to this exhibition was because I want to include all the citizens here, to be not exclude anybody. But it was made for an exhibition in St. Petersburg, 1992. And I was first invited to take part in an exhibition when the Soviet Union was falling in the end of 91 and beginning of 92. Take part in a group show. And it was so much response from some schools. It was a Russian museum school in St. Petersburg, had a big school connected with 1,000 students, and there were coming some of the teachers there, and they asked me, could it be possible that you could come for 1 week, some months later, and give lectures for our students? So I made so, and then they invited me to make an exhibition at the museum, which is the biggest national art museum in Russia. So it was very nice, and I was working for half a year for this, and I decided to make some paintings directly for the Russian audience. And this idea was I had made before in another version, but I took it up again. And it's an alphabet from A to O, Alpha and Omega. And I don't know, do you know Russian? Can you? Because it's something is little different. Something is wrong or right. It just depends on how you're seeing it. Can you see that? Oh? Hmm?
Some letters that repeat.
Yeah, here is this two of the same, and this is also two of the same. Yeah, in this alphabet is written hidden Isis is the name of Jesus. And you have to find it yourself. I mean, it's not propaganda in that way. It's forcing you. You really have to. Some people have a very hard time to find it. But I used to say that if you look at the same picture, every one of you, then see the same thing, then it's propaganda. But this can be seen in many ways. But anyhow, I was working for half a year for this, and then I was prepared to send my art to St. Petersburg. I even found money to cover the cost of the freight because the economy was not so good at that time there. And 3 weeks before, I ordered a box and everything was ready to send. And then they phoned me in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock. And that's how they did in that time because it was not easy to get through in the daytime. And then told me that it has been a double booking, that Russian art has been asked before me to make an exhibition at the same time, the same place. And I said, I was very upset in the middle of the night, you were waking up. But you can't do like that. The first thing you should check if you invite me is to see that the time is free. Yeah, but now it's like this, I said, and was talking a little more. And suddenly he said, but if you can pay some money to the director of the museum, I think it can be okay. So if I was upset before, I was even more upset. And I told them, it's terrible. You have been inviting me to make this exhibition. I've been working half a year for it. And now over this, you're asking me to pay bribes to the director of the museum. If so, it will not be an exhibition. And it didn't either. And I used to say that when I'm creating my artwork, it's like giving birth to a child. And so it's a lot of pain and work, but it's also that it's... no, I was taking it wrong here. But it's not finished before they have met its audience. And when I couldn't show it to the Russian audience I made it for, it was not finished for me. And it was very painful. And the year was going, and it took 9 years. And then I was invited to come back here because of this 10-year celebration of the liberation from the Soviet Union to show my exhibition again. And then I realized that half of the population here in Riga was Russians. So I could show it outside Russia for a Russian audience. And I did so, and when in 1 week I had about 20 school classes coming to the exhibition, and half of them was Russian school classes, and the first one was the 9th grade. It was mostly girls in that class. And I invited them to be important for me because I told them that this has never been shown for the audience it's made for. So now it's the first time you Russians can see it. And it should be very exciting for me to see your reaction. And I was expecting them to find the name of Jesus here, but one of the girls said, "Oh, it's written life on this 4th line here." Yeah, one said. No, another one said, "One letter is wrong, but if you're looking very quickly, it looks like life." And then another said, "But on the 3rd line, here is written where. So where is life? That's what it is about." And then they haven't seen what was hidden in it. And I told them that it's something more hidden. So it took a little longer time because it was on 2 lines. But when they found it, it was so excited. And I could see of the reaction of their teacher that she was so happy to see how engaged her student was in a meeting with me as a foreign artist. And then suddenly one girl said, "But it's written something more," she said. "This CO here, that means with, and this together with that one means me. So it's written Jesus with me," she said. So it's almost like we are asking our question, where is life? And God gives his answer in that way. And I thought it's fantastic. And when they went away, 2 of the girls was coming back half an hour later, been buying nice flowers and gave to me. And thank you for that. You come bring your art here. It's so fantastic. And next time you must come to our school so more of the students can see your work. So I thought it was more than I could ask for. And now I'm coming to this. For me, it's like giving birth to a child to make an artwork like this. And for a normal thing, for a woman, it takes 9 months to get the result of this pain and this work. But for me as a man, it took 9 years. And then I came back to Sweden. I had one day at the Folk High School for adult students, and they have 18 students visiting from Serbia. And they had the same alphabet, and they was listening to my lecture, and afterwards they came up to me and said, "It's written something more. These 3 letters here, that means watching over. And that God is watching over our question about life. And then I say, and this here means that to be held by hands, to be led of." So everything's fitting in, but I didn't know anything of this. And then 1 year later, I had a group of Christian classical musicians with this Crescendo. I don't know if you heard about this organization. They have the whole Crescendo from Europe was coming together in our hometown, and they were coming to our home for evening. And then I heard that 3 of them, women, was from Russia and 1 was from Ukraine. So I said to my friend, I must show this painting for them. And they were very touched when they saw this. And this woman from Ukraine came up to me, and she had tears in her eyes. And she asked, can you be thinking of to show your make an exhibition in Ukraine, she said. Yeah, I said, it's so much work, and I don't know if I can do something like that. And yeah, you probably don't understand this, but here is written the name of our capital, Kiev. And that's exactly. So it's much more than you can expect, and I liked when I got new keys to my own paintings, coming to different places and so.
And it was not intentional.
No, the only thing was that that was, of course, but not the other. I didn't know. So
How did you choose to put the letters? Just randomly?
no, that's the right position of the alphabet, but just that I added some extra here. Otherwise, it's exactly. And Maris was helping me to cutting out these letters, so I have them as models and painting them. Because I couldn't make it myself. It's good with teamwork. And here is a little painting too. I want to show you. This I gave to Agita when she was working for the president of Latvia in the castle here for some years, and was some years after the liberation, and I decided to give it to her to put up at the president's office, and it's called Prayer for Latvia. And this little toy, I have a big collection of old toys at home, and I was using some of them. So this little cow is in a position like she's praying, and if you see from this side, it's red flags coming out, but from this side, it's turning out to be a Latvian flag. And I want to show and tell them that now that's gone some years, but it's important that you don't forget the spiritual dimension in this process, what you've gone through. It's very easy after some years that you forget about this, but this is very important. So I want you to have this as a reminder about this.
Have you said any words about that painting?
You mean with the
Yes.
ladybird?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. Are they still not coming, the other group, or is the... If so, I should have this as the last one. This is the same idea as I showed you before with the horses who were jumping over this, but here it's like a hole to the darkness. And this little animal is building a bridge. And I made an exhibition in Israel, 88, and I had a painting with this ladybird, this old toy. And I just like it because of the color and the form. I didn't have any special idea behind. And it was a woman coming there, and she said, for me, it's a Jewish woman, she said, for me, it's a symbol for Messiah, she said. And I thought it was very strange. So she could see my reaction, and she told me, it's not so strange as it sounds, because in Hebrew, this animal is called Moses' cow. So it had a special direct link to the Bible in the name. And when I came home to Sweden, I realized that the old name in Swedish is Virgin Mary's key maid. The maid who take care of keys for Virgin Mary. So we have also a link in that way. And then I came to another place, to Germany. It's called Mariakäfer. It was also the Maria. And in Denmark and Norway, it's Maria Mary Hen. And when I came to Russia, I was told that this animal is called God's cow. It's very close to the Hebrew name, Moses' cow. And in Poland, it's called God's little animal. In Holland, it's called Dear Lord's animal. And what you have in... Yeah, but you don't think that... Because in many, yeah, Coccinella is quite a common name, but in many regions there are different names, and yeah, but so I'm sure that we could find something like that too. And in Colombia, it's called Mary with the freckles, you know, and it has dots, and the normal ladybird has 7 dots. So and in Sweden, the south of Sweden, is the old name is Hagelhöna, Hagelhen. I don't. Is it right to say Hagel? the white snow, hard snow is falling down. What's the name of that? It's a hagel? Hail, yeah. And it's a very strange name. And I asked the man who knows everything about old words, and he said, yeah, it's because when the people of Israel was walking in the desert, they didn't have any food to eat, and then was manna raining down from heaven, almost like hagel. So in some strange way, the people in the south of Sweden, some 100 years ago, connected this with and put the name in that way. Very strange. And I have so many connections. In Bangladesh, it's called God's Messenger. And when I had my exhibition here in Riga, 2001, at the Congress House, it was coming a couple, and he was from Albania, and his wife was from Latvia, and they were missionaries. So they were half of the year they were in Albania. And when they saw that I made paintings for Latvia in this way, they asked me, can you do an exhibition in Albania? He said, no, I don't think so. It's too much. And then I just want to test this little again. And then I asked, what is the name of the ladybird in Albania? And he was telling the name, and I asked him, but what does it mean? Yeah, it's just a name, he said. Yeah, but can you think about it? Can you translate it? And then he said, the meaning is the bride of Easter. And so it was obvious that Albania was the most closest communistic country in Europe for many years, had another history before that time. And this exhibition never took place, but some years ago I was invited with my family to Albania together with some other people, and we had just a summer vacation. And then we were invited for a special dinner party, and I happened to have the vice president of the University of Tirana, the capital, to the table. It's a woman. And you know, when you're sitting there, you have to be nice, and it's sometimes not so easy to know what to talk about. And the only thing I remember was this ladybird. So I asked her about it. Can you tell me the name of the ladybird in your language? And she confirmed that it was the name was like that, but she didn't think about that it was something special behind. And then I told her all these different countries' name, and she was really amazed. And then after that, she said, I've never heard this before, but it's fantastic. And besides that, I'm a vice president of the university in Tirana. I have a professor in a special area, and that's insects. And in this area of insects, I have a speciality, and that's ladybirds. And she said, today I've been desecrating a ladybird in front of my students to tell them how it's built up and so. But this I never heard, but this I must tell my students. And also the reason why, I forgot to tell it, but the reason why I found out after some years I found in the Bible, the 4th book of Moses, the 19th chapter, it's written about the red cow. And it said that God tell Moses that he should find a red, clean cow, and it must be perfect. And he should take it out of the camp, and then they should kill it, and then he should take the blood of that and throw 7 times over the tabernacle, and that should be cleaning for the people. And it's obvious that this name, Moses cow, has to do with these Bible verses, because the red color is there, the number 7 is there. And suddenly I realized this is a prophecy about Jesus, who was innocent, was clean, and was taken as a prisoner out of the city and was crucified, and through his blood we can be healed. So we can say that in this symbol of this ladybird, the whole concentration of the message from the Bible is coming. So it's, and until now I haven't met any pastor or theological person who have seen this in that way, but it's coming one part after another, and I think it's very special. And in Latvia it's called Marite, and it's also a connection with Maria, but I think you have one more name. Oh, yeah, you have that too, yeah, yes, you see. So it's very special.
I also looked for in Italian, another name is Mariola.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, I think I have to finish now because I'm going. Group coming, or it's somebody waiting? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if you have any questions or so.
How long time you painted, you prepared this exhibition for Latvia?
Yeah, the first time in 1990 it was about half a year.
About half a year?
Yeah.
How many art pieces it was?
Yeah, it. Now I have some more, which was not there, but I think it was somewhere I have the catalog, but maybe 18 paintings or so. Yeah, something like that.
It's mean you work it every day.
Yeah, I was very inspired. That was really filling up my whole, and I felt that this can make a difference in another way that I had experienced before. So that was really something which gave me energy.
And this art piece is similar with this which you told it is sold.
Yeah, and I don't know to who. I don't. So, but that's why I put up this, because I could show that it's the same kind of idea.
In Sweden, it is sold in Sweden.
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember where it happened to be.
From Latvia.
No. Yeah.
Any other country inspired you in the same way?
Yeah, I've been very much involved in many different country situations, especially when it coming to a turning point in the situation. But what happened with Latvia, I think, is more than any else. Yeah, very special. And I'm very happy that it still can be seen that it's some importance in this, so I can be invited a third time to show this. That's a crazy thing, just that. But it's that's so happy. And you know, when time is running away, a lot of these things I forget about. But now when I have to prepare this exhibition again, all these memories coming up, and I'm so touched myself that this has happened and I've been through this, and very special. And all the nice people I met. Yeah.
I wanted to say very thank you from my side.
Okay.
From the filmmaker's side.
I've been waving a lot, I think.
That's very good.
Okay.
It's alive,
Yeah.
dynamic. And I wanted to say that I'm gathering young people and those who feel young, which is no age limit,
Yeah.
to learn filmmaking.
Okay.
And to use art for telling the story through movement. And I'm trying to use biblical storytelling as well.
Okay.
And if you see people who are into storytelling,
Yeah.
for young people, you are welcome to share that there's a film school. It's called International Film School of Latvia,
Okay.
and it's just starting.
Oh.
And I'm gathering teachers who could teach about symbolics and storytelling, just like you do.
Yeah. Thank you.
storytelling.
Yeah. That's good.
Just for maybe some other people who might be.
Mm.
And I hope to see you again. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, but now I think it can't be more times.
Who knows?
Yeah, but who
How long
knows?
are you in Latvia?
I'm altogether 2 weeks, but the exhibition will go on until middle of January. So that's. So now you have got a lot of knowledge about my art. You can bring all your friends here, and now you can be the one who guiding them around. So that can be nice. And I have a very nice book made some years ago, and 20 pages in this big book is about my experience from Latvia and what happened here. So if somebody are interested, they can also be possible to buy.
It's possible to buy
Yeah,
the book
yes.
from here?
Yeah, during my time, because it's special rules in this house that I can't put out prices and make business with.
I should ask the local people.
Yeah, yeah. Maris can organize that, but you can do it now too if you are interested. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You just happen to come as a coincidence. Yeah, but a nice.
This was nice.
Yeah. This is,
As you explained already,
yeah.
the case.
Yeah.